Hey guys, Uncle Ray, welcome to another episode of the Crypto Bellwether. You know, the goal of this channel has always been to help people get in the group of investors that actually make money. Unfortunately, over 90% of everyone investing in crypto are going to take their hard-earned money and transfer it to the 10%. And I truly believe most of that comes from misinformation. I believe about 90% of the information we get about cryptos is misinformation. So anyway, in this video, we're going to talk about the big day is around the corner. We're counting down to the ISO20022 compliant tokens that are going to be part of the SWIFT system. We've been hearing for years, you're going to get a Lambo, buy XRP, XLM, HBAR, Quant, IOTA, Link. Well, you know, the truth is that SWIFT announcement came out where they're using Consensys, Ethereum, and LINEA. Kind of broke some hearts. But the XRP influencers are still trying to spin that lie. But guys, in this video, we're going to break down what's coming down the pipe with ISO. And we're going to look at 4 or 5 projects and look at the charts. And I'm going to tell you my strategy to hopefully capitalize on what I believe is going to be the result of that. So, not financial advice. Do with this information as you will, but hit the like button. All right. Now, before we get into it, guys, I just want to kind of get some light humor going. You know, I've always said, since I was a kid, be careful who you listen to. And nowhere in crypto is that more important. Now, I want to just give you something that you can laugh about. We know how crazy the XRP army is and the influencers, and they love to be lied to. But check this out. This guy right here is Tom. I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name. He's the Chief Innovation Officer at SWIFT. On his linked account, they were having a talk. And Stephen Lindell interrupted it and typed in, Ripple XRP will be the token that takes control of all of this. And Tom was a lot nicer than me. He said, well, if the future of institutional settlement was going to be Ripple XRP, was going to be driven by XRP launched 13 years ago, then it would have happened already. But that just shows how crazy this is. And look, guys, Chief Innovation Officer at SWIFT and a coding and installation warehouse worker. All right. Now, Saturday is the big day. Why they picked Saturday, I don't know. But, guys, this is the type of information I've been reading for years. It's boring. It never matches what you hear on the street, because, you know, if someone tells me they're going to take over the banking system, I'm going to do their research and see what they're all about. But then I'm going to do the research on the power player that they think they're going to take over. And I learned about 3.5 years ago, not a chance in heck that Ripple, XRP, or no one is going to take over the power players like JP Morgan or SWIFT. Period. Not going to happen. Now, maybe if you're 20, it may happen in your lifetime. I don't know. But anyway, I want to give you a metaphor before we dive into this about what ISO 20022 compliant even is. First of all, guys, all the banks are ISO compliant. So the base of that is, if you're going to do anything with SWIFT and the real banking system, the global banking system, you have to be certified. Now I'm going to give you a metaphor of the level these so-called ISO 20022 compliant tokens are at. Now, you remember back in the day, we used to have these massive malls, and there was normally a big box store that dominated that mall. Right? Well, that would be SWIFT, right? Well, then when you go into the mall, you had like the Polo stores and stuff like that. And then you had the food court and you had the kiosks. Well, the kiosks are like the so-called ISO tokens. They're irrelevant. Now, they can be successful. You might make a good living with that kiosk. But you're not making the money the big box or the mall owner or the polo store is going to make. You're really irrelevant. And those kiosks can come and go. Maybe we make money off that kiosk as the provider, like SWIFT and the big box stores and the mall owners. Or maybe you don't. But it's irrelevant. And the mall doesn't need those kiosks. The kiosk people need the mall to get the customers. That's basically, in a nutshell, what being ISO compliant is and what the relevance is, no matter what anyone tells you, of the so-called ISO tokens. They're irrelevant. That being said, outside of link, and we're going to talk about that. All right. Now, we all know about the announcement when SWIFT came out and said we're using Ethereum, Consensys, Ethereum, and LINEA, right? Well, guys, they have been working hard. And people think they're behind. Well, guys, they've been doing this stuff for years and years and years. The reason they haven't launched was there was no regulation. Banks are immensely conservative. They don't want to bring in any help if they don't have to. And they don't want to move forward. And whether people think it or not, there is no demand at all for a customer to decentralize, say, send $1 billion over the blockchain. No one cares. You know what? When you send $1 billion overseas, you don't really care even if it takes a couple of days or even a week. It's $1 billion. What you care about is it arrives there safe and sound. But right now, they already have it to the point where everything pretty much settles in 24, 48 hours, period. And that sounds like a long time, but here's the problem, guys. You can't settle something when the bank is closed, right? Internationally, like think about it. If I send something right now to a bank in Singapore, they're asleep. Think about that. How's that going to settle? And it has directions. That's what SWIFT does. It's a messaging service. Well, now they're going to move in to bringing on RWA and CBDCs and stable coins and all that. That's where they're going. And as this article says, guys, they've had a pilot program going with 30 of the most powerful banks in the world, testing this and getting their minds together, saying, okay, what do we need? Well, they decided in this article they need a ledger. So they're building out a ledger for those guys to use. Now, if you don't believe that, look at this. See, this is what I've been saying for 3 years, and the hate and the crazy comments I get. People tell me, I don't know what I'm talking about. I should do some research. Well, I was doing some research. That's why I was telling you this stuff. But look at this. This is over 2 years ago, guys. This is JP Morgan's report to like their shareholders and their investors. ISO20022 first 120 days live. So what is about to go live, JP Morgan has been using and testing and updating and consulting on for over 2 years. Think about it, guys. JP Morgan owns like 33% of the Fed. Really? You're going to take them over? Now, it's not just JP Morgan that's dominating. Visa and SWIFT streamline cross-border payments for business-to-business connect. No XRP needed. So there's your businesses. When all the businesses around the world, they're still going to do what they're going to do, and they're going to do it with the same players. When they flip that switch, it's the bad boys, the big boys. Whether you like them or not, they're not going anywhere. They have the tech. It's just software and code, guys. It's open source. There's nothing special about this stuff. Again, like the mall. They don't need kiosks. They'll get another one and another one. They'll kick some out. Who cares? They're just trying to make money off allowing them to be in the mall. Maximize their square footage. Now, let's talk about Link. Now, again, guys, be careful who you listen to. I listen to people like this. You know, most influencers just want to find something positive to tell their tribe, their community, right? And they go to like the Swell conference and listen to what Ripple has to say. Well, have you ever been to a JP Morgan conference or a non-biased conference for like the SmartCon, right? But look at this. This is one of the head guys of crypto of JP Morgan. And here's what he has to say about Chainlink.
Interoperability. I mean, Sergey talked about it. Chainlink obviously plays a role here. But how do you see interoperability going forward? Is there a role for the Fed? How is this going to work in this digital asset ecosystem you outlined with the traditional players like JP Morgan and the new players in the system?
So again, I would look at interoperability across instruments or across different monies and across, infrastructure, which actually is where Sergey's team plays a very critical role, and they are developing solutions.
So there you go. Very critical role coming from a power player from JP Morgan. You can listen to people like that, or you listen to old Steven. He'll make you rich, I'm sure. I said that with love. All right, guys. Now, we're going to look at the chart, and I'm going to talk more about Chainlink in a second. But one thing you have to understand is the big boys are here. And there is no one bigger, for the most part, in crypto than Circle. Their launch was explosive, and they print money. They are connected all across the world. And with Coinbase, JP Morgan, BlackRock, Bank of Mellon, all of those. And when I say connected, they're partners on stuff. Not just like, I know I can hear it now, the XRP army. Oh, Bank of Mellon is where Ripple stores their custody. Okay, what's that got to do with anything? That means it's bullish for Bank of Mellon. They're making money off of custodying Ripple's money, which is awesome. But anyway, right now, there's two power players that have came out, and there's more on the way. I don't know who's going to win. But Circle has just launched this revolutionary USDC-backed stablecoin. Circle's X Reserve transforms blockchain interoperability. What does Chainlink do? Right? What does XRP do? It's a bridge. Well, look what they just launched, guys. ARC. They're layer 1. It's bigger, faster, stronger, more liquid, and it's getting rid of liquidity pools. There's no concern about that. And bridging. So, there goes XRP. This is their main competitor. We don't need it. You use this layer 1. And guess what? It's free. It has a bigger ledger, a more powerful ledger. It's dominant. Do some research, compare, and you'll understand why you don't hodl altcoins. This tech is changing. And again, we're going to finish up and talk more about Link in a second. And one thing I want to talk about on ARC that I think has changed the game. Stable coins are risky, right? We for the most part trust USDT because of a lot of exchanges. You can't use USDC across the world everywhere yet. That's going to change. But both of those, USDT and USDC, are the big dogs. Period. So people care about that. But imagine a bank saying, I don't want to pump someone else's bags. I want our own stable coin. Well, guys, some of these banks don't have the power of Circle and the backing of BlackRock, Bank of America, heck, technically the Fed. So you can create your stable coin through ARC layer 1. Unfortunately, no token to buy. ARC layer 1. And it's technically, what's the word? White label USDC. So even if it's called Regions Bank, USDCR, right? It's technically 100% backed by USDC. So, guys, that's massive for whatever that's worth. Now, also, I think I skipped it. Where was it? Yeah, somehow it got left off. But guys, if you haven't went and watched the Fed Crypto Payment Summit, I find it hard to believe you're serious, and especially if you're buying ISO tokens and payment tokens or anything to do with RWA, because you had the power players. We don't have access to those. They don't care what we think. They don't care about our money. They're not looking to impress retail. They got all the customers. They just want to dominate like they have. Well, they talk about that, guys, and guess who wasn't even there? Ripple and XRP. Not one word mentioned, for whatever that's worth. But go watch that, and it'll change everything you think about what you hear on the, Crypto X or whatever you call it, the X sphere. Anyway, all right. That being said, here's another powerhouse, and I'm just throwing this in as alpha. The Canton Network, guys, is more dominant when it comes to RWAs than every other blockchain combined, about 160x more dominant combined. Let that sink in. And now it has a token. If there was ever going to be a token that should be in the top 5, it's the Canton Network. It's the future, whether the token gets you rich or not. So, that being said, let's take a look at the charts. Again, guys, stay with me. I'm going to tell you my game plan to capitalize on what happens when supposedly the ISO20022 compliant tokens go live and change the world. All right, Chainlink. Guys, you could argue, I don't know how much of a future Chainlink has, say, 10 years from now, because I think the token will grow. Even Chainlink may not get rid of the token, but have so many more services that you can use, like Ripple. Guys, Ripple already is at about 75% of all their services have nothing to do with XRP. Because as the tech grows, they don't need the tokens, and they start to push them out because a lot of times they're redundant, they're costly, they have issues like with bridging, and you can get rid of all that and just do it without a token. For whatever that's worth. That's just my long-term thoughts, but who cares? I'm not betting on anything outside of Bitcoin for 10 years from now. Hopefully you're not either. Now, I was pitching Chainlink all during here when no one was talking about it because of the research and the adoption. And then when it started to explode, of course, everyone jumped on board and everyone likes Chainlink. Now, here's a couple of things. You can't argue the fact that Chainlink, as it sits today, is at least in the top 3 of adoption across the world, period. And if this was a stock, which cryptos are not stocks, Chainlink would be the one to buy, bar none, and it would explode. Now, I think it could run if we have an altcoin season, which is debatable. I'm calling this cycle over January 1 either way, and I don't think Chainlink or pretty much any token is going to make a new all-time high between now and the end of the year. Now, that being said, could it run up to its old all-time high? It could, but I don't think it is. There's 2 points. And see, guys, look, I don't care what you buy. I just want to give you all the, the disclaimers, all the data, and you make your own decision. But here's 2 points people don't like to talk about. Okay, look at this price. Life-changing gains last cycle. Some people made some money in this cycle. I know I did early. I sold it. Oh, God, I sold it way back in here. But look at this. That's the price chart. That's the tokenomics chart. See, guys, I look at it this way. Now, this isn't technically right, but this is just the way I look at it to simplify things. That's the retail opportunity of making money in crypto if you buy a Chainlink. That's the opportunity that the Chainlink Foundation had. That's the money they made, taking profits, letting it explode. So there's a good chance it makes a new all-time high easily with its market cap, but that's a long way up for the price, for whatever that's worth. But with projects like ARC coming out, Plasma coming out, and a lot of other ones, Chainlink has some competition. It's still phenomenal. But, all right, let's look at LINEA. You know, LINEA is the one that SWIFT announced we're going to be using. Consensys, LINEA's, which is the creator of LINEA, and Ethereum. It launched at a bad time. And it gets a lot of hate because people just, head in the sand. Why didn't they pick XRP? It's amazing. Well, they're not going to use that. And they still go to their favorite influencer and say, tell me another lie, please. Oh, no. And now Ripple's just going to take over SWIFT. Okay. But somehow Swift's only a $5 billion company. But XRP, if it takes over SWIFT, if it gets 14% of it, it's going to be at 10K. Which, guys, while I'm on my high horse, giving you that alpha you don't want to hear, let me give you something to laugh about. This is a fact, period. Prove me wrong. If every person, man, woman, and child, billionaire, zillionaire, whatever, around the globe took everything they own, cars, boats, houses, stocks, bonds, all their money, and bought XRP, it wouldn't equal the market cap of 10K XRP. Now think about that. That's how bizarre it is. So anyway, let's get back to LINEA. Guys, I think it's going to have its day. When this goes live, people wake up. All it needs is 1 or 2, 3 days of a good pump, and then people jump ship. But right now, those influencers are not going to, give it up what grows a channel. Because lying about XRP or the ISO tokens, it grows a channel. Believe me. But if this thing starts to move, people will start getting behind it, and they'll get over the fact that it's Wall Street. Because, guys, I'm here for the money. I don't care about any of these altcoins, and they damn sure don't care about me. So I've already started stacking LINEA, and I think owning it right here is about as good as it gets. Its burn just started last week, preparing for this. And guys, it's going to be a while. It's not going to move, immediately, and all of a sudden they're just processing trillions. It's probably could lead the next cycle. It really could. But at best, all I'm thinking is it makes a new all-time high from here, 4, 5, 6x, something like that. Move on. All right, the Canton Network, guys, it's a powerhouse, and people are catching on. When you compare Canton to any project, they're not even worth comparing. I mean, it's laughable when if someone tells you that any token, I don't care what it is going to outperform Canton as far as adoption of RWAs, they're just extremely uneducated or dishonest because they haven't done any research. It's already got 6 trillion RWA assets on its blockchain. 6 trillion. The next one is, I think, Ethereum at like maybe 26 billion or something, 36 billion, 56 billion. It's not even in the ballpark. And don't quote me on that part, but it's not even close. All right. And I'm going to be stacking some more Canton. Ethereum. Guys, it's my biggest bag. And, my whole bet was I was buying under 2,000, and I said, I'm just going to bet that it makes a new all-time high. And right here, I got so busy, and I was traveling, and I sat there one day and I said, you know, that's close enough. Just take it. Wish I would have. Didn't even use my own rules. Take profits or become the profits. I'm still good, but I'm leaving money on the table if it doesn't turn around. But again, people want to talk about bad tokenomics. Guys, this is deflationary. Look, price, market cap, they match. And because Ethereum goes from slightly inflated to deflationary back and forth. And the more it picks up, the more it goes deflationary, truly deflationary. Now, let's talk about XRP. Okay. 8 years, no new all-time high. This chart is actually wrong. It's 392, and it's not debatable. The XRP army likes to debate it. A lot of people like to debate it. They always can't even say what's the all-time high. But there are people, no ifs and buts about it, it's a fact, that bought XRP at 392 8 years ago. So let's look at this bull run. And first of all, guys, no one bought XRP just to get back to where it was 8 years ago. But look at the market cap, guys. Your opportunity, Ripple dumping. Look at the market cap. It's more than doubled since its all-time high. If it had just decent tokenomics, XRP would be over $7 right now. That would be worth talking about, for whatever that's worth. All right, let's talk about the opportunity, and I hope you're still with me. Here's my thought process. ISO tokens could pump any of them. You can pick any one you want. I pick XRP because I know it's crazy, and I know how to trade it, and I know how to short it. People don't know this, but I've bought and sold and shorted XRP probably 5-10x more than all my other trades combined. Probably even more than that. Probably 10 times. So, anyway, there might be a good buzz, and if somehow this market could start to pump between now and Saturday, and then that happens, you're going to see all these XRP influencers come out, oh, Lambo time, just like they did with the ETF, just like, oh, when the SEC is over, you know, it's always tomorrow, but that pumps XRP. But because of the tokenomics and the smart money and the whales and Ripple, they're going to dump, sell the news event. So anyway, I am long on light leverage right now. I was long. I jumped in early at 231. It pumped up to, I think it was 250 something. And then when it got back down to 231, I just liquidated it, broke even. And now I'm putting the trade back on, probably after I get finished launching this video. And if it goes down, I'm going to buy it again. Now, under $2 is getting scary if it settles under $2. Spiking down there, the odds are, guys, the liquidity right here is immense. The buy and sell pressure right here, you know, is immense. And there's a lot of buyers and a lot of sellers. So the market makers, you know, it's harder to move XRP, believe it or not, than most. That's why I like to trade it outside I understand it, is it has great liquidity. And you don't get scalped for the most part until you get this. Which, guys, a lot of tokens, this was that event, 3 weeks ago on Friday? A lot of tokens have followed that. You know, they went sideways and then they went down. Don't be surprised if XRP doesn't go back to 150. That being said, if it does, I'll still swing trade it. So anyway, you can do this with any of the Dino tokens. Pick one, HBAR, whatever. If one pumps, they're probably all going to pump, but XRP is probably going to be the one that pumps the highest. Hopefully, people will catch on and educate themselves, and LINEA will start to pump. But what I'm going to do, stack it on light leverage. If it starts to pump, I'm just going to DCA out. If it spikes, I'll just sell it all and go short. That's what I do mostly. I short XRP. For whatever that's worth, guys. I'm just going to honk my own horn for a little bit, but it's for your educational purpose, not to just gloat. But you know, when XRP hit its all-time high for this cycle back after the election, and HBAR and Quant and Algorand, all those hit their cycle highs. I did like 3 videos in about a 2-month span telling everybody take profits, you're going to become the prophets. And I put on like 375 trades the first week after the election and kept shorting for about a month and a half. Got a lot of hate for that, but guys, the odds are none of those tokens are going to go back to its all-time high for this cycle, much less its original all-time high, in my opinion. And guys, don't shoot the messenger. That's reality, guys, of what we're dealing with. Hopefully you got to the point where you're tired of these people lying to you and this doesn't trigger you. It actually makes you think, maybe I need to get a better strategy. Now, that being said, guys, if you want to learn to short, I got you. I believe, I really do, that I've created the best shorting course on the planet. Now, it's different than what you may expect. There's, in my opinion, idiots. Idiots are going to short that. Now, you may get away with it. You don't short that. Yes, you short this. They got it backwards. This is the 90% shorters. Now, that being said, once this bear market is verified, you can get away with it. But you don't short the downs in a bull market. And technically, XRP for this cycle is still in a uptrend, period. So anyway, guys, it's only $250. You get my shorting course, 13 videos, walks you through from A to Z of my strategy. You get a Zoom call with me to make sure you understand the strategy. And then you get 5 months of my inner circle for only $250. I want to build the best, most educated, talented crypto shorting community on the planet. Come join us. Now, that being said, guys, I know you're struggling. Maybe you don't have a plan. Maybe you don't know what to do. If you need someone to look at your portfolio, have a conversation, maybe how to compare, give you a strategy to end this cycle, I got a crypto course, which is for your portfolio, and it's nothing but alpha, guys. It helps you make informed decisions, how to do it, that meets your risk reward, get you a game plan, educate you about tokenomics, market cap, all that stuff. And then you get a Zoom call with me to go over your portfolio, and you get 5 months of my inner circle, all for $250 as well. Or you can just join the inner circle. That being said, guys, it's go time. The clock is ticking, not only for the ISO kickoff, but for this entire cycle. Now, for me, I only invest bull run to bull run. January 1, we're going to plan the next plan, right? The next cycle, a new strategy. And it will include shorting for sure. Because, guys, we've been doing well in the bull market, and most people tell you not to short in the bull market, but cryptos are not stocks. And, guys, I used to be a licensed 3 futures and options trader. I bought my first foreign currency back in like 1990. Maybe that's why I can take profits so easily and so fast, because, guys, 30% in a damn day beats what 99% of everyone investing in stocks for a year make. We do that on an average day. And people just look at it, yeah, my 10K's at 13K. Well, you're going to grab maybe 3K out of it? No, that's no Lambo. My 10K's 30K. What are you going to do? I'm going to sell at 100K. I'm going to start taking profits at $500,000. Man, God, that's the big boys are here. You got to stop. And I say this with love. I'm going to let you go. Here's some alpha, guys. Stop thinking about this money like yours. Stop thinking like a retail person. Think like the big boys. If you got $1,000, pretend it's $1 million. And when it goes up 30%, what do you think these guys are doing? These guys already bought. They're selling. This is not Wall Street dumping on you. This is retail getting scared. They're buying. So think about it. You're buying XRP at $1, $2, $3, right? Who was selling it to you? Well, they'd be idiots. No, they're the ones that bought down here, $1 million, put in $1 million at 50 cents, called a 5X. They sold it all the way up. That's where the liquidity is. If you understand the game, guys, you'll understand shorting. And if you understand shorting, you'll probably make money. That being said, guys, if you don't take profits, you'll become the profits. And if you have lost and you're down 20 or 80%, I'm not telling you what to do whatsoever. But you might want to start, if you put in 10 and you're at 2, you might want to start at trying to salvage that 2. And don't expect that it's going to go from 10 back to 100. The odds are it might not, especially the people that bought this, just like the people in 2018 that bought XRP at 392, the odds are you're not getting your money back. So if it starts to pump, yeah, maybe it goes to $4 or $5. But I doubt it. I hope so, because I can't wait to short it. But even if it went to $5, is that worth the risk? Because if it doesn't, it may see $1 or 50 cents way before it ever thought about $5. Just something to think about. And I'm not harping on just XRP. We're all in the same boat. They have bad tokenomics. Most of these projects are just set up for us not to win. And if you can salvage some money, I would recommend it. Not financial advice, guys. It's a big boys game. You got to put your big girl panties on and figure out what your strategy is. But in my opinion, take profits or become the profits. A profit is if you own, technically you're at $2,000 from 10. I'd say going back to 8 and capturing that is a win. And then you got some dry powder and you can keep playing the game if the game is continuing. Or you can short, whatever you want to do. Anyway, didn't mean to ramble this long. But guys, I hope y'all call out all the people that have been lying to you about the ISO tokens, which I sold last year and bought like Hyperliquid and some good tokens and sold those as well. And people just held. And they kept promising that Lambo. It's always tomorrow. But call out the people that lie. And anyone, guys, anyone, if $10,000 XRP came off their lips, laugh at them. They're lying. It's a lie. It's mathematically impossible, no matter what Jake Claver says. All right, guys. One more thing. If the majority were right, the majority would be rich. And damn sure there's not a tribe in crypto outside of maybe the Bitcoin maxis that are making any money. Take care.